We are going to talk to my guest this morning, Tim Graham, executive editor at MRC Newsbusters. Networks are ignoring the Russia hoax. Yep, we know that, but the rest of America doesn't know. Hi, Tim.
Hi. Yeah, you never know what you're not told. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, and America is a bunch of sheeple, apparently.
Well, Democrats are in the dumps. You look at their numbers right now; they're terrible. So, they can't be told everything.
Well, the problem here is that they just don't tell the truth on the national news. They constantly talk about their opinions and what they think is happening. They don't go by fact. They go by what they think is true, and it's just not the case.
Yes, there's a lot of really interesting choices they make in terms of what they decide the quote-unquote news is. So, yeah, we're at a point now where they've done hours on Trump and Epstein and Trump. Mm-hmm. And they're not paying attention to new revelations, new documents that show how President Obama was trying to close up his presidency by ruining Donald Trump's presidency. They just don't want to hear it. Well, they're like, I don't want to hear it. Don't hurt the myth of Obama.
Well, and they want him to stay on the pedestal because he was the first half-black president. So they want him to be, I will not say black president because he was half white. His mom was white. I don't care if that makes people mad. The one-drop rule does not apply in every case. You are what you are, and he was half white. So this Russia hoax took up 2 years of our lives. That's all we heard. It was like Marsha, Russia. It's all we could hear, and it's off limits. I don't know who has their finger on the thumb in the editorial rooms for these places or the scriptwriters, because the anchors are just reading what they're told. But I don't know who is forcing this to not be told. Who's doing this?
Well, they liked the story the way they told it over 2 years. We counted on the evening news shows, just the evening news shows of ABC, CBS, and NBC, 2,284 minutes. I mean, and these are not 30-minute shows either if you subtract the commercials. They did make this story dominant for 2 years, to the exclusion of what Trump was actually doing. Mm-hmm. So for them not to touch it now is like, no, we liked it the way it was. The funniest thing, Fawn, was when they're like, the Republicans are trying to make a story out of something that's 8 years old. Oh, meanwhile, you want us to discuss a birthday card Trump apparently sent to Epstein in 2003.
Yeah, because that's how they roll. They're just ridiculous. So I get very, very upset when I don't watch The View, but I see clips about it. You know what I mean? And yep. they talk about this like we're lying about Obama now. It has to be a lie, right?
Well, yes. Our Nick Fondacaro watches that show whenever it's on, and they are the worst, most slavish party line people, like the whole group of them. We joke that they call it The View because there's only one view.
Yeah. Well, and my goodness, Whoopi Goldberg thought Jill was an actual doctor, so that's how much she studies before she goes on the air. But Sunny Hostin, or whatever her name is, I've been seeing lots of clips from her. That is a hateful, racist woman. And she will do anything to protect Obama's name on that show, including argue with guests to the point where they get up and leave. So it's crazy. But this Russia hoax thing, I know they don't want to change the narrative. They like what they had on, but it was a lie. So does Trump not have, I guess, carte blanche at this point to sue them all for the narrative that was a lie? Who does he get to sue? Because he needs to sue somebody.
Well, as we know, I mean, he has been successful at suing media outlets the last year or so. It is a higher standard to meet in America because it has that New York Times versus Sullivan decision, which said you can't just say that the press report was untrue. You have to prove the reporter knew it was untrue and published it anyway. And that makes it tougher.
I guess.
But, they have settled with Trump because they don't want anybody to see, like, George Stephanopoulos' emails. So
yeah. All right. So no coverage whatsoever. Tulsi Gabbard just kind of stood there and let Carolyn Levitt eat them like a pit bull. That was hilarious. But they're ignoring the Russia hoax completely, and I think I know why, and it's because it's true that Obama is complicit. That's why they're not touching it, because if it were absolutely fake and he wasn't part of it, that's all they'd talk about.
Well, and they tried this in 2016 during the campaign. Hillary Clinton, they organized one of these letters. We remember it. They organized a letter in 2020 saying that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. Well, they organized a similar coalition in 2016 to try to say Trump was somehow Putin's poodle, which is really funny coming from Hillary Clinton, who went to Moscow with a so-called reset button.
Yep. That's funny.
And, from Barack Obama, who made fun of Mitt Romney for still caring about Russia. The 80s called and need the foreign policy back, Mitt.
And the crowd goes wild. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. And those of us with functioning brain cells understand that there is no way this could have continually been perpetuated if Obama didn't know. He had to have known. He was the president for 8 years.
Yeah, what these documents show is that Obama got his intelligence professionals together, and they were like, I want all the dirt that let's find all the intel we can to connect Trump and Russia. And, of course, there were people in the left that were suggesting that Trump was actually a paid Russian agent. All kinds of craziness. Oh, he's been a Russian agent since the 80s or something.
So ridiculous.
And they didn't have to prove it. They just had to say it. And that's what's sort of being repealed here.
And we know that it's true because the news won't cover it. That's pretty much it. That's how we know it's true, because they won't tell us. So with all of this being said, them ignoring the Russia hoax, they won't shut up about Epstein. I think they probably should, because when it does come out, a lot of the people on the left are going down, and a lot of the rich people who support the left are going down. Now, will Trump's name be on a guest list that went to the island? Yes, probably. But it doesn't mean he did anything nefarious while he was there, because I've seen pictures of Epstein with just about everybody in Hollywood.
Yeah, he says he never went to the island. We know Bill Clinton went repeatedly to the island.
Sometimes without his security detail.
Yeah, you could see the pictures of Epstein with Clinton. I don't remember seeing any of those in the hours of coverage.
Yeah, it'll never happen. And I'm just so tired of this, Tim, I could pull my own hair out. So the fact that they're not talking about this Russia hoax whatsoever, they've got to be a little bit embarrassed, don't you think? Little humble pie.
I think they're shameless. I think that, their definition of news is what helps us.
Well, that's sad to me, but also factual. All right. Where can people go to learn more about the not only offset and ridiculously lopsided coverage of what's true and what's not? Where can they go to see this?
Well, we're certainly doing it at newsbusters.org, and of course, you can hear me on the Newsbusters podcast.
All right. Please check him out. Tim Graham, he is the executive editor at MRC Newsbusters. I love y'all. I had somebody cancel this morning. The first thing I did was come back to you guys to find another guest. So I'll have someone on at 8:42 to talk more about other things. But, Tim, thank you for being here, man. Appreciate you.
You bet.
Bye-bye.